In this video, I'll be showing you how I built a Facebook ad spy tool with n8n. This video is inspired by this very big YouTuber called Saraev. He essentially built a Facebook ad spy tool with n8n. That's why I'm making this video in terms of sharing a little bit of improvements I'll make. If you aren't sure, my name is JJ. I'm actually a current media buyer and I do buy ads in a 5-figure range to 6-figure range for many businesses and brands. First, let me give a big picture of what this workflow does. Let's assume I run ads for this brand called commonsuits.com. In full disclaimer, they are just a random brand I've chosen. I don't know who they are. Let's assume I run Facebook ads for them and I want to do a better job in terms of creating many different kind of ads that they could use to push their products. The first step of this workflow is to go to Facebook ads library, choose a brand you think is spending a lot of money on ads. I've chosen AG1 by Athletic Greens. The main point of this automation is to scrape ads from brands that are spending millions of dollars on ads, because if they're spending millions of dollars on ads, it's likely that they know a thing or two when it comes to running good ads. The next step then involves transcribing, transcripting and extracting all the information from these ads and then transforming these ads into a variant that is suitable for your own brand. This automation then would actually populate all the information of the particular ad into a nice Google Excel sheet. This is meant to solidify and capture the data of all the ads that AG1 is running in extreme detail. You have the name, you have the Google Drive URL, you have the Google Drive ID, you have the captions, you have the CTA, you have the transcriptions, hook purpose, you have the text captions, and you have many disclaimers. This sheet is meant to consolidate in a very nice structured manner so that you can actually feed this information to an LLM and then generate variants of these ads for your own brand. This is the workflow that I took from Saraev, and I would say that it's actually very well done. I think some improvements I'll make is actually storing of the information. Whenever you run an Epify scraper, it will actually cost you money. So I'm more of a fan of spending that money once and then storing that information into one nice database so that you can constantly reuse this database in terms of creating new ads for you. I've actually scraped all 70 plus over ads, both video and image ads from AG1, and then I'll demonstrate how to create your own variant of ads from here. In terms of the results that this automation will give you, I will say it's not extremely completely perfect. It gives you a detailed brief in terms of what images you can design for your ad, and then it also gives you detailed briefs about potential video ads you can make. It does create voiceovers for you. It also breaks down hooks for you so that you can potentially use this for your own brand. The first workflow starts with a manual trigger and then scrapes Epify. So the main thing you need to take note of is this ID over here. You just need to make sure you replace this variable with your Epify settings over here. So this is the Facebook ad scraper I'm currently using, and make sure you get the ID, which is over here in the URL. So copy this, put it in this HTTP request, and ensure that the URL you're using is the correct one. And I think one thing I really like about Epify, right, is that you can click input, you can actually ask it to give you the JSON variable of what you need. So you can literally just copy this JSON and then just put it over here, okay? And it's exactly the same thing as what I've done. This is extremely useful, and I think that Epify makes it very easy to use. Right now, I've put all the ads from AG1 being run in the US, and there's a total of 76 ads. Yeah, 76 ads or 82 ads will cost you maybe about 50 cents, which is very little money. Anyway, Epify gives you a free $5. After you run the Epify scraper, it will then get many items. So each of this item represents an ad itself. In full transparency, I think the output is actually very messy. I actually went to Sarev's video and he actually broke down all the metrics in a very nice manner. I actually followed a lot of things that he did in the workflow. He used the switch function to split videos, images, and other fallback ads. Initially, I was trying to split the ads per video, image, and text, but then I didn't really manage to do it very well. But I would say this switch function sort of does what I need to. Why? Because if I take 36 plus 12 plus 28, that equals to 76. As long as all the creatives are accounted in my workflow, I'll honestly say it's something I don't mind. The next step over here includes extracting the snapshot, which is where all the information of the ad is. So if I scroll to the right and try to find snapshot, this is where the ad information is. There's a video HD URL and there's a video SD URL. I believe the only difference is like HD or full HD. Then you also have the video preview image URLs. The next node contains me extracting the video URL, things I want to store for the future in terms of analyzing and creating better ads for my own brand. You have the body, which is the primary text they use as the captions. You have the CTA button, and most importantly, you have the video SD URL. I actually intentionally chose the video SD URL because it's not full HD. I'm not sure if it will spend less token. If I select the link over here and open it, it will then result in playing the direct ad. So going back to the workflow, once I have what I need, I then put a loop over item node because there are 36 videos, so there needs to be 36 videos that should be analyzed. After the loop node, you then download the video URL. This workflow actually just uploads the video file into a Google Drive. I've uploaded all the video ads from AG1 over here, and this is meant for me to analyze at a later point using Gemini. I've also included image ads, and the same thing applies to image ads. They will also be sent to Gemini for analysis at a later point. Going back to Saraev video, which is the inspiration I took this workflow from, it doesn't actually store the image image ads, which I think is a little bit of a waste. And I'm not sure if it's true or not, because I think when it comes to me using Epify, when I extract the URLs of the images or videos, right, there is actually an expiration date. These are some other image ads I've extracted from Epify, but when I click on them, they say the URL signature expired. Whenever you run Epify scrapers, right, just download the file and upload it back to a Google Drive or download it into a computer, because you want to make sure that every dollar you spend, you're like keeping that data. Right? This is just like a measure that I've taken to make sure that I can always reuse the insights or take this information here to create more variations of ads for even different clients I'm running it for. So maybe I'm using AG1 as an inspiration to create ads for this brand. I can also use AG1 ads to be an inspiration for other clients I'm running ads for. So to summarize for this workflow, this repeats actually for videos, other videos, and fallbacks. The fallbacks here essentially are all image ads. And the whole point of this workflow is actually to download the data from Epify and then upload it to Google Drive for further analysis. Moving on to the second workflow, its main objective is to extract as much valuable information from all the ads that we have scraped so far. I'll extract the transcription of the ad, I'll extract the hook of the ad, I'll extract the purpose of the ad, I'll extract the text captions of the ad, and I also have a fallback formula and extracts any like disclaimers or categories. So in this case, I will also say the code is not perfect. In full transparency, I'm using the exact same workflow I did for another YouTube video, and I'll link that in the video description below. The first note of this workflow extracts all the video ads from this Excel sheet over here. The workflow then segments both video and images to be separated into their own workflows respectively. This note over here downloads the link of the video, and you can see here this is the AG1 video ad that I'm analyzing. This HTTP request then sends it to Gemini for analysis. You have the key here, and you need to put your API key over here and just ensure that you use the binary file that you have downloaded. You then have a wait note here because Gemini needs some time to watch your video. After it watches your video, you then need to make a request to Gemini to get the status of the video, and the state of the video needs to be active before you can do any further analysis on the particular video. Similarly to the previous HTTPS request, you need to put your API key over here, and you need to use the file.uri from the previous Gemini node. The state here needs to be active. This is just an indication that Gemini is ready to receive any prompts you have about a video that he has just watched. The next note here checks if the video is active or not. If it's not active, you cannot prompt it accordingly. There's another wait cycle over here that checks if the status of it is ready or not. If not, you need to wait for a lot longer. I will give a caveat to say that there are bugs with this workflow because a duration of 30 seconds is usually more than enough for Gemini to have watched the video. If you're sending it extremely long videos, then maybe you need to give it a lot more time. For ads, usually there are not many ads that are like more than 1 minute. 30 seconds is usually enough for Gemini to process your video. The next note here then contains the prompt that I'll be using to send to Gemini, and in full transparency, I actually generated this with an LLM. This then splits into two nodes. One node is fully responsible for transcribing the video. This is very similar to OpenAI's Whisper. The second HTTP request then analyzes the videos and breaks down the video based on hooks, text caption, and any visual elements. Currently, I'm using actually Gemini 1.5 Flash. It's not the most updated LLM, so feel free to adjust this. You have to put your API key over here. This is the JSON file that I'm sending it. I actually manually pasted the prompt here directly, and I didn't use the prompt dynamically from this other set node, but I think that this works for me so far. Now let's take a look at this transcribing HTTP request node. Similarly, I'm using the same LLM for now. You need to put your API key, of which I've put X for now. The prompt here for the LLM is quite straightforward. Please transcribe the audio from this video into plain text. You provide it the file URI. You also provide it the MIME type. After that, this Excel sheet then populates the transcription into your main Excel sheet over here. This node, column J, is populated by this Excel sheet node over here. Column K, L, M, N is then populated by this Excel sheet node over here. Let's see this node over here, which extracts the LLM output. You can see that the data structure it provides here is actually structured, and this makes it very easy for me to send it in a neat manner back to the Excel sheet. Let me go back to the HTTP request node. Make sure to also adjust the code based on what you need. So in this case, I have the hook over here, I have the text captions over here, I have the purpose over here. The required variables are the hook, text captions, and the purpose. After that, I then have a code node to then split out everything in a nice structured data manner. There's then the Excel sheet node over here, which is column K, L, M, and N. It then merges it together, and then there's this Excel sheet node which updates the status as done. The reason why I want the status to be done is that I don't want to send this ad for analysis again. That's why at the start of this workflow, you can then see I'm filtering out the creatives which were analyzed by AI because I don't want to waste my LLMs to analyze ads that have been analyzed before. Now let me show you the workflow on the image side. The same thing happens over here. It extracts all the ads in the Excel sheet, then filters out what has been analyzed, and then this is the image side of things. So there's a loop node over here. The first thing I have is to download the link of the image itself. So you can see this is the ad from AG1. The next thing I do is then upload it to Gemini. This is the link I'm using over here. You need to put your API key over here. The most important important thing to then check is that the state is active. Once the state of this image is active, Gemini is ready to receive your prompts. I then have a wait note over here. Unlike video, I only give it about 10 seconds, but I would say most of the time for image ads, it could take less than 5 seconds. I'm just taking some precautions for here. I think it actually can be immediate, so feel free to try and reduce this to 1 second if needed. The next node then gets the status of the image. You then extract the file.uri. Make sure you fill in your API key over here. Once it's active, you then move on to the prompt, and then you send your prompt to analyze the image to Gemini in this node over here. This is the LLM I'm using because I'm not using the latest models. A lot of this is actually free. Place your API key over here, and then I'm sending a JSON body to the LLM. I've adjusted this prompt specifically for a video. Analyze a provided image to extract insights about its structure, content, and visual elements for replication. Feel free to copy this prompt and use it for yourself. On the left here is the output of the HTTP request. It's a little bit messy. I've also used a set node over here to then extract the main parts of what is important to me. The next code node here then passes it into usable JSON, and I have the focal point over here. I have the text elements of the image ad. I have the purpose of the image ad. I have the colors of the image ad, and I also have the layout of the image ad. This is then sent back to the main Excel sheet, and this is where in column O, P, Q, R, it then populates insights about image ads in these columns over here. These are the image ads over here. In row 50, 51, 52 onwards, all these are image ads. That's the gist of the second workflow. It's meant to analyze and populate insights about these ads that AG1 is running into a nice structured manner so that you can actually provide these contexts to the LLM to create an ad variant for your particular brand. Moving on to workflow 3, but before we start talking about it, the most important thing here, you need to go back to the Excel sheet and then go to column G. You need to choose which AG1 ad you want to transform into an ad that's suitable for your own brand. I put yes here, yes here. In other cases, there are blanks because let's assume that I really like the video script of this AG1 ad over here. So this is the video I've actually chosen to analyze to transform into ad for Common Suits, which is the brand that I'm using over here. You need to choose the ad that you want to transform because AG1 is running 70 over ads, and if you want to create 70 ad variants, right, I would say that will take up a lot of processing power. So I've only chosen 4 ads to be transformed into ads that will be suitable for this brand called Common Suits. So this is one over here, this is one over here, and to have a little bit of variety, I've also chosen 2 image ads, which is this one over here and this one over here. These 2 are the image ads I'm transforming to something that's suitable for Common Suits, and this is the second video ad I'm analyzing that will be transformed. So this node extracts the chosen ads, which filters for ads that have the yes under the chosen column. So these are the settings over here. Chosen, it will only let ads who have the value yes to pass through. It then ensures that the creative have been analyzed before. It then ensures that the transcription or the focal point, there is something inside there. If it's empty, that means the creative has not been analyzed. It then splits videos and images separately. You have video ads over here, and then this is where it's a little important, right, where you need to include the brand info over here. There's the brand info, there's a transcription, there's a hook, there's a purpose, there's a text caption, there's a disclaimer, and there's a service or product, and there's a source URL. You can see for the brand, I literally just went to their website, Ctrl-A, Ctrl-V, which is a copy paste, and then go to my workflow and then just paste it over here. I can probably improve the prompt over here, but this is a very quick prototype that I'm sharing with you. The service or product is quite clear, men's suits. I then feed it to the LLM. I'm currently using Gemini as the LLM for now. The prompt here, you are a top-tier Facebook direct response creative strategist and performance ad copywriter. This is the system message over here. You are providing it the brand info, you're providing it the service or product info. You're telling it to utilize the hook, purpose, transcription, text captions, and disclaimers into transforming this particular AG1 ad into something that could be suitable for Common Suits. The transcript option 1, about 40 to 60 seconds, starting with hook and flowing into the product, story, benefits, and CTA. Transcript option 2, a variation with different structure, tone, or angle. Transcript option 3, another distinct variable worth testing. This is the text of the brief, and this is the learning hypothesis that we are trying to hopefully make it work for Common Suits as a good performing ad. Once done, you can see the output or the LLM is in nice structured data, and I must say that the structured output parser has been extremely helpful for me. These are the sample hooks that you can give it. When it comes to making this work, right, usually I go to the LLM and just ask it to create some dummy data in terms of the data structure I want the LLM to generate. Here, I then split some fields over here, then leads to exporting the info to an Excel sheet. I'll go back to my main Excel sheet over here. I'll go to inspiration video, and this consolidates everything in a very nice manner for the LLM. The original ad name AG1 ad is over here. You can see the brief, learning hypothesis, video 1, voiceover 1, 2, 3, and different hooks. The reason why I've actually put it as such, right, because I think that at this current stage of my actual work with clients, not many clients are comfortable with just automating it directly to an AI to create. So they still actually have an in-house designer team, in-house videographers who then create things. So these are meant to give the creatives a little bit more option when it comes to creating the ads itself. I'm actually in the midst of trying to automate it directly to 11 Labs or even Gemini to create a voiceover for me. At the same time, I also want to respect the creatives within these clients of mine, right? So I want to give them the option to just adjust it. I also have two separate sheets over here, which are the hooks and the voiceovers. I also want to probably work on some approval process, right, where they can actually say yes or no, because sometimes for certain clients, right, they want to be very specific in the ads that they approve, right? So if I were to automate this to 11 Labs to generate an AI voiceover, right, we want to allow in-house teams to then make adjustments to the scripts. So in this case, my future workflow of which I want to build, which I have not built in full disclaimer, is that the client can say yes, no, and then only the ads with the approval of yes will then be automated, where a voiceover will be created. I might actually have like a voice MP3 file, and then once it's automated, then the creative team will then just come in here and then edit the video itself. I actually have ideas to really automate this all the way using AI avatars or even providing it sample clips, right? So if I can just sidetrack for a while, imagine if common suits have like a video bank of 2-second clips. In this Google Drive of 2-second clips, right, they have like 200 2-second clips which are extremely high quality. I then can use very simply a code automation, right, to just permutate and then choose the number of video clips based on the duration of the voiceover. I can also have another code node, right, to then calculate what is the voice duration of this voice MP3 file. If it's 25 seconds, it means that if I have 2-second clips, I just need 25 divided by 2. I just need 12 to 13 2-second video clips to then create an ad itself. These are things that I have in mind in terms of automating video creation to a certain extent. I've not created it, but maybe I might work on this in the future if there's really a real need to. Because at the end of the day, I'm working on projects which are making my job as a media buyer to be a lot more easier. I will say these are not terrible voiceover scripts. Maybe I can adjust it a little based on what the client wants. By and large, this really alleviates a lot of my time brainstorming what kind of creatives to create for my clients, because I can essentially say that these video scripts are sort of learned from advertisers who have spent a lot of money creating all these video ads. This database of sorts can be repeated across 10 clients, 20 clients, 100 clients. I would say creative is no longer a roadblock when it comes to creating ads. I will say from my experience of running Facebook ads, the only variable that really works, unfortunately or fortunately, right, is creative. Now let me move on to the image aspect of this workflow. Similarly, you have the brand info over here. You then have the service and product over here. The prompts are exactly the same, but the only difference is the prompt is actually specific for an image concept. It then generates everything in a nice structured output. This Excel node exports the data to this main Excel sheet over here. You can see this tab here, inspiration image, and then you can see all the brief learning hypothesis, focal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, text element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the AG1 ad that was used as inspiration. So maybe instead of this quote over here, you will put beyond a suit is tailored confidence. Every stage crafted for your perfection. It also could be used as a main headline. Call to action, book your private consultation. Then obviously this will be changed to book your private consultation. The image will be a sophisticated man in his 30s and 40s that is confident. So okay, I think this is a quick enough brief that would be useful to any designer. I do think I'll further build on this automation to create videos and images that will be in line with what a brand like Common Suits would approve. I'll probably leave a link to this workflow in the video description, and I'll see you in the next one.